Serious now. Show me all the blueprints.
We gotta get into it. Jets are gonna be the way of the future.
Show me all the blueprints. Show me all the blueprints.
Way of the future.
Show me all the blueprints.
The way of the future.
Watch your haters wonder why Gambino got the gang up. Half-tied picky, all she wanna do is bang her. Got her head done, French braids, now she ASAP. We know something sexy and she asking why you say that. I'm chillin', real nigga feelin'. Rich kid asshole, pay me as a villain. Still spittin' that cash flow, DJ talent. I got bad house on roll coast, pre-age balance. Real nigga, I rep those. Why though? Cause I said so. Get deep in that left though. I got 5 on it like Benfos. I got more tail in that Petco. You bigger than some sweet and low. Yeah, you got some silverware, but really, are you eating though? Are you eating though? Nigga, are you eating though? Breakfast, lunch, and dinners for beginners. You ain't eating though. Never catching cases why their faces look so emo. Watch a hater hate me, wanna play me like a piano. My architect, no Japanese. No girl, she Japanese. No hands like Socrates. Fuck boys like Socrates.
What's up, dude?
Niggas ain't Japanese. I ain't checking out Nina. I'm bouncing through no problem. I'm winning, yeah, I'm winning. I'm winning, yeah, I'm winning. I'm winning, yeah, I'm winning. Rich kid asshole, take me as a villain. Don't be mad cause I'm doing me better than you doing you. Don't be mad cause I'm doing me better than you doing you. Don't be mad cause I'm doing me better than you doing you. Better than you doing you. Just fucking with you.
Real quick, before we get into the video, this video is sponsored by ourselves, okay? Me and my business partner run a YouTube coaching mastermind where we teach professionals with some amount of experience, ideally with at least 1,000 subscribers, how to get to that next level. Most things in life, you have to try to be a winner. You have to try to like make that great leap to get that next breakthrough. YouTube is all about not making mistakes that the other person does. When you choose good content strategy, you market research your titles, when you have above average thumbnails, your script is efficient, but also like analytical and full of genuine emotion. And all of these little tweaks eventually turns you into like a 1% creator, a 0.1% creator. If you're someone who's serious about this platform and about really sharing your ideas online in general, I would invite you to apply. There's an application form in the description box. We'll teach you how to monetize YouTube the right way. So you don't have to worry about AdSense. In fact, you can demonetize all your videos, use all the copyrighted songs in the world, kind of like this one.
There's a line from a famous professor, Scott Galloway. He says you should never be at home. This is an idea that I genuinely believe with my full heart. Like, you should try to spend some time every day outside of the house. When I was living in Mumbai for 6 to 8 weeks doing this actor-director workshop back in 2017, it was such an inspired period of my life because I was always meeting new people. When you live in a big, boisterous city like Mumbai, it's so exciting. Their houses are so small that for the most part, people just step out first thing in the morning. They're like getting in line, chatting with each other, eating breakfast. It's such a dynamic, exciting feeling. Your success in life, both publicly and privately, is inversely correlated with how much time you spend at home. And when I first started spending more time at the gym, in a coffee shop, like I would have more serendipitous encounters. I would even feel the serendipity of the right environment affecting me, affecting my character, and making me want to do my best work. In order for magnetism to work, also, you just need to be in the company of others. If you isolate yourself, there's no where for your social magnetism to be applied. You need to display who you are in public spaces for it to mean anything. So there's actually an order of importance when it comes to the public spaces that you want to prioritize to make the most of your life, and I'm going to break those down right here. So the first one is the gym. You want to make sure that your gym is aesthetic and it has super fit guys there, and also if you're a dude, there should be hot girls at your gym. Trust me on this one. It's not even that you're trying to like necessarily meet the hot girls at the gym, although maybe perhaps you could, but it's the fact that if you go to an aesthetic gym, if it looks attractive and the people in there are actually fit, they look like they're serious about their training. They're not just like, you know, some out of shape 7-year-old dude. Nothing wrong with a 7-year-old who's at the gym, who's out of shape. Like, God, respect, salute to him for trying. But when I first started going to an aesthetic gym where like it seemed like every dude was a powerlifter who's on gear and the girls also looked unusually excellent, I made the best games of my life. First of all, I was motivated to go to the gym just because you want to be around such company. But secondly, like around the right people, you want to be like the environment, your performance increases. And in contrast, when I've gone to like gyms where the energy was just not there, everyone was just like, even walking on the treadmill, it was like an act of faith for those people. You don't necessarily feel like going hard, but if the guy next to you is genuinely benching 315 and even some girl is like deadlifting more than you feel kind of like you need to step your game up and become someone worthy of that space. So don't go to Planet Fitness, okay? Find a way to get the extra $50 and go to like the most aesthetic, nice gym where the people in there are actually specimens. They're inspired company. That is the first place to start when it comes to maximizing public spaces. The second space is coffee shops. Independent coffee shops are incredibly inspired spaces. They look aesthetic, they make you feel aesthetic through osmosis, and if you get hungry, you can grab a bite to eat, so I found that they're really excellent for just doing deep work. Also, everyone around you is more or less working at a coffee shop, so you actually feel weird if you're not working, if you're not like progressing with whatever your task is. It's hard not to get stuff done at a coffee shop. They're a genuine pressuring system for getting results of any kind of knowledge work. The third one is bookstores or libraries. So if you're stuck in life, there's nothing that's going to get you out of a rut faster than the right book. But the great tragedy is that most of the time, we don't know what that book is. Like even for me, I read books all the time, but I'm constantly grabbing books and dropping them because I can immediately tell, like within 50 to 100 pages, if a book is just like full of BS or if it's genuinely helpful. I've been really interested in wanting to read a biography, a great biography. And so I've had to actually go through two of them to actually arrive at one that's worth reading. I started with Da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. Walter Isaacson's this really famous biographer, and it was super boring. Like I got around 50 to 100 pages into it and I just couldn't go on. There was no value in it for me. So I dropped that book. Then I started a biography on John D. Rockefeller called Titan. I could tell it was better, but it was also not the book that I really needed in this season. And then I ultimately landed at Howard Hughes, His Life in Madness, which is so far proving to be very excellent and oddly has a lot of parallels with where I'm at in life right now. Oftentimes what I do with a book is read a bit of it, and if I realize it's the right book for my life right now, it's actually like usable information, both in terms of inspiration and action, then I will read some of it and then I'll start writing based off of this. Most people don't do something like this, but it's such a powerful exercise because the best breakthroughs of your life will come from you basically utilizing a new system or capitalizing on a new way of thinking, a new way of acting. These slight tweaks that you can bring into your life or your way of thinking that will compound into dramatically just beautiful results. And your odds of running into the right book that will change your life, that will get you to the next level, well, they're higher at a bookstore or a library because you're just surrounded by books. So you could just like quickly grab a book, start reading, you know, the odds of running into the right thing just increase with all of these locations. You know, the right gym, you might run into that one person who's going to get you way fitter. You know, I don't think I'd be nearly as in shape as I am now if I didn't go to my current gym because I met like literally the most aesthetic dude I've ever seen in real life, even more than like a lot of fitness influencers online. Austin Gelhar, he's my coach, and also he's got his own YouTube channel. You can check him out. His body is incredible, you know, and the reason I've made such great progress is because of my association with him. And the same thing goes with so many of these spaces that I've started inviting into my life. The reason I became a better writer and a better speaker, even if I started making more money than before, when I was utterly broke, I would spend a lot of time at bookstores and just hope, you know, maybe the right idea will come from a book, and eventually it did. So that's principle one. Spend time in public spaces. Not only does it increase serendipity and fortuitous circumstances, but it helps you put your magnetism on display so that more good things can happen in your life. This one is just so incredibly powerful. The second idea is that you need to invest in having great skin, great hair, excellent style, excellent shoes, and especially a lean physique. I hate that this principle is so superficial. It seems like there's one superficial principle in all of my scripts lately. It's not because I like love superficiality necessarily, but just because it puts you in such a rarefied air when you have your physical presence, your physical manifestation of yourself, super dialed in. I can say this with extreme confidence now because in the last 2 weeks, I have both been traveling and also I celebrated the bachelor party of my best friend from middle school. So I've been seeing a lot of people out and about in their environments. It is incredibly hard to find a dude with the above qualities. Find anyone with the above qualities. At least in the US, you know, as I was going through the airport or during this bachelor party, I was going through different spaces like a mall and a comedy club in the evening. You don't find too many people who are both in shape, well-dressed, and well-groomed. I mean, first of all, so many people are overweight. And then even the people who are relatively in shape, they're just a little disheveled looking. I would say it's probably puts you in the 0.0001%, genuinely, if you're in shape and like your skin looks good, your hair looks good, or if you don't have hair, you know, your bald head is attractively shaped. To look sharp is a very, very rare thing. And it's not that hard to do, you know, it's just a discipline. It's a series of habits that can make you look as presentable as possible. And the reason this is so important, you know, is because the person who is lean and well-dressed and well-groomed, they just look striking. I mean, if you look like someone who is in the 0.0001%, like people naturally will stare at you because you don't look like what the culture looks like. Back towards the end of high school, when I was around 17 years old, I did a summer writing program at what would end up being my college. And one of my instructors was like this 19, 20-year-old guy who was beautiful. Like, he had incredible skin. I've never seen skin that good, and great hair, a lustrous face. He was a really gorgeous guy. I'm a heterosexual, I'm a straight dude, but I was so compelled by him. And he dressed so well, I found myself naturally wanting to listen to his advice about writing or even poetry. The dude genuinely got me more interested in poetry because he looked so great. I was like, does anyone else find this guy gorgeous? Turns out everyone did. All the guys and all the girls in the cohort were like, they found him really beautiful. And so this is not a statement about genetics or looks maxing necessarily. It's just about keeping your stuff tight, keeping your like presentation as good as you can within reason. There's no way it doesn't have an effect. Okay, so for skin, here's what I do. Drink a gallon of water every day. Sleep wonderfully each night. These days I sleep around 11 p.m. I notice my Oura Ring sleep score has jumped up to like 85 or 87 just because I'm usually asleep by 11 and awake around 6:37 a.m. And even just that earlier sleep time, I used to be a night owl, but that earlier sleep time, I think your body actually releases more growth hormone and it just has more regeneration. If you sleep closer to like a 10 p.m. window, between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when you get the most amount of like flushing out of toxins. You know, eat leafy greens, such as, for me, my favorite leafy green is arugula, and avocados, sweet potatoes, blackberries. These are just full of like all these micronutrients. The thing about a lot of gym bros is that they just prioritize their macros, so they just eat like white rice for their carbs and then like, you know, grilled chicken for their protein. They don't worry about too much more. When I was doing my first cut, I started eating a lot more salad. Regardless of what some people who may be on the carnivore diet or anything might say about salads or greens or oxalates in their greens, I noticed that my skin just looks lustrous when I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. The four main like groups that have done the most for me in terms of my skin looking good is leafy greens, avocados, sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a carb, but they're like a really healthy carb. They have vitamin A and vitamin C in them. And then blackberries. And then lastly, do a skincare routine. I use Paula's Choice skincare products. If anyone's interested, I can list my items in the description box. Haven't applied any right now because I'm about to go to the gym. But when I started doing these practices related to skin, my skin started looking very, very sharp indeed. Then with hair, you just want to make sure that you're eating enough protein. You want to have like enough collagen in your diet. This might even mean supplementing with collagen. And then if you eat avocados and eggs, you're gonna get omega-3s and biotin especially. Collagen, biotin, protein, it just makes your hair look good. And then lastly, find a product that works well for you and use it. Once again, I haven't applied any today, but I use Mitch Manley's, actually I have some right here. Mitch Manley Reformer. Look, none of this is sponsored. These are just the genuine products I use. But I put this in there and it gives me a matte finish in my hair. I think everything just looks very sharp. And then I also just get more or less regular haircuts. Simple, you know, basic stuff, but it makes a huge difference on your appearance. Honestly, drinking a gallon of water a day and sleeping enough and eating a healthy diet, it puts you in rarefied air and just makes you look correct. With style, wear whatever you want, but make sure that it's form-fitting. Make sure, especially that your shoes are stately and striking. With style, I used to think that, you know, you needed to have a lot of money to look good, but there's so many products now. If it's just form-fitting, especially if you have a good body, if things just are draped over you well, if they hit the shoulder line well, you tend to look pretty good. I would say style and a lean physique They go pretty hand in hand. The last one, of course, is your body, especially if you can keep your body fat relatively low. I think anyone can get to an excellent physique, regardless of their starting point, within 2 years, and especially around 3 years. Around 2 years ago, I was actually at 27 to 30% body fat. Clothes just wouldn't fit me that well, so I would end up wearing a lot of baggy, like button-down shirts, just because it felt uncomfortable to wear anything tight. You know, also I had very thin arms, so I didn't feel cool in t-shirts, just because I felt like it just heightened my skinniness or my skinny fatness. I'm no fitness model by any means, but I think a lot of people who are out of shape, especially if their body fat is too high, you'd be surprised if you just figure out how to diet, how to do a solid cut, just a 3 to 4 month long cut. You could drop a ton of body fat. And then, you know, maybe after a cut, you take a break, you bulk for a bit, and then cut again. Within a, relatively short window of time, 2-ish years for anyone who's starting crazy out of shape. And then in less time, if you get down to even sub 13% body fat, sub 14% body fat, you're in like the top 10% of physiques. Man, it's kind of a bummer that so many people struggle with their body fat levels. This was a huge thing for me for a long time, but now at this point I realize it's just a skill to master. It's really just a lack of knowledge and a lack of implementation in knowledge. But if you can master these components, and there's a ton of habits that go with this, then I guess the best way I can put it is your presentation becomes striking. And that is very, very much tied to magnetism. If you look striking, it helps a lot. Principle 3, intention, faith, vibration. This is actually a much deeper and truer part of what makes a person magnetic. You know what makes a person magnetic is just faith. It's one of the core principles of my company. It's faith, dependability, and style. Faith is like this belief that regardless of what we're doing right now, what is coming is going to be great. I say this to everyone on my team, especially, sometimes my videographer, he might be like sitting in the trunk of my car. Now that we're trying to get more into action videography, my videographer, he'll be sitting in the trunk of a car, or, we might be filming in different locations, and the actual getting of a shot is not very exciting, especially now that I'm working on a short film. A lot of shots, it's not that exciting to try to go get it. In a YouTube video or in a finished product, it looks super cool, but the actual acquisition of a piece of footage, filmmaking, sometimes it just looks very grungy. But what I tell them is, if you ever feel like this feels grungy, this is like whatever, even for me, I'm working on a movie for the first time in my life, I have to give myself this sense of faith. Like, hey, this might be what we're doing right now, but look, around the corner, 2 years out, 3 years out, 5 years, what is 2 years? We can be working on huge things. We could do a brand deal with Red Bull or Porsche or Amiga watches. Like, we could be directing a $100 million movie 2 to 5 years from now. Don't take this moment right here, this thing that we're working on, lightly. Like, be excited about it and cultivate this sense of like, oh, around the corner, it could be this incredible thing. Back when I had nothing, and I had nothing going for me even, the reason I made my tagline, whatever, greatness is coming, is because it was this little fake thing, this delusion that I would tell myself, like, have faith. It's so important for personal magnetism, this trust in good tidings to come, this belief that the universe could be Santa Claus, that's going to give you something great in 6 months. Like, don't lose hope, we got this, something amazing could be happening. Even if you don't talk, if you carry that sentiment in your soul forcefully, you force it to be the way you think, the world can kind of see it in a glint in your eye. They can be like, why is this guy, even when I make eye contact with this dude, I feel a sense of hope kicking in again. It's really powerful, and there are habits that you can utilize to cultivate this more, especially if you feel like, you don't have a lot of hope in your life right now. For me, the most important thing is set the right goal, okay? So find a goal that is both achievable and exciting within the next season of your life, 2 to 5 to 6 months. Go after the low-hanging fruit, right? Find your goals that are in the correct order. If you make $10 an hour working at a Subway or something, you're just a server, then make that goal like making $25 an hour, something really, really tangible and achievable. Like, okay, now I'm going to start doing knowledge work instead of service work, and I'll just make a little bit more money and I'll have a little bit more free time. Or if you actually are doing, knowledge work, okay, I'm going to get this next little certification that's going to make me a little bit more money. If you're super out of shape, okay, right now I'm 30% body fat, I'm going to come down to, 20%. I'm going to lose 2% a month for the next few months. I'm going to diet. I'm excited to like cook meals for the right diet. Going from 30 to 20% is going to change your life. So find the goals that is achievable and then get yourself excited about that achievable goal. It brings so much hope back into life. In the Bible, it says, without a vision, the people perish. That achievable goal, it gives you that tiny bit of vision. Other habits that have helped me alongside this, do affirmations. Do affirmations daily. I have a whole list of affirmations related to the kind of person I want to be, and they help me keep that sense of faith if I ever end up feeling like I'm losing it. Visualize the completion of your goals, and also visualize yourself doing actions that are related to your goal. And lastly, consume creative works that inspire you. The last set of movies that I watched were Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible. I was super inspired by both of them in different respects, especially with Mission Impossible. Now, me and my business partner, we are no longer procrastinating. This weekend, we're going to ground school, oh my God, to work on solo, like doing our first solo skydive. We're just gonna jump out of a plane. You know, if the Captain Sinbad channel shuts down after this weekend, you'll know it's because I skydived and I didn't like pull the parachutes. So, you know, listen, greatness is coming. Believe in the good tidings. I am going to pull that parachute once the skydive happens. Other creative works that have, you know, really bring me out of any lull is reading. Reading is a huge thing for me. It's something I love doing. I read around a book a week, not to sound like Ty Lopez, but the reason this is so powerful, the reason these elements all align with the above is because the majority of what you communicate to others is left unsaid. I think it was Oscar Wilde, maybe it was Oscar Wilde or Mark Twain, who said, "Who you are speaks so loudly that I can't even hear what you're saying." So there's no point in worrying about the semantics of what a book might say, like how to win friends and influence people, which might give you all these strategies on how to be magnetic, you know? Say someone's name, tell people like, "Hey man, you're doing a great job doing this one thing." But if you just focus on the external, you know, don't criticize, complain, don't condemn, it becomes too surface level. If you start from within, if you start from this like inner constitution of having a lot of faith and optimism in your life, it bleeds onto people and it kind of makes you magnetic. This sense of mystery, like what's this guy got that I don't? He's got this little ball of electricity that he looks like he wants to share with the world. It's really quite a compelling feeling. The last idea here then is to smile. All right, I am kind of a grumpy dude in my natural state, so I have to remind myself of this, but you have to smile. A warm smile is overpowered. It really is. Sometimes you can do it with just your eyes, right? Tyra Banks, she invented the smize, and I've often found when I wanted to like cold approach a girl, like giving her the little smize, sometimes it's like this angry smize. It has actually worked for me. But imagine you're a person in public often who's well presented. They're full of an internal story related to progress. Maybe it's because they did affirmations earlier in that morning. You almost naturally find yourself smiling. And then you naturally find yourself sharing your intention, your purpose with someone else. Magnetism ends up taking care of itself. So in summary, these are the habits that if you stacked up, I genuinely think your life would change within a month, if not maybe like 2 weeks. And those habits are work in public spaces, drink a gallon of water each day, sleep fully each night, exercise often, eat eggs, just eat a healthy, high vibration diet. For me, those are eggs, avocados, leafy greens, sweet potatoes. Use a skincare routine, find the right product for your hair, dress well at all times, choose the best goal for your current season in life, work on it daily, do affirmations, meditate and visualize your progress often, consume works that inspire you, and smile. All right. And for the person who's willing to invest in the right habits to make them who they're supposed to be, to us I say, greatness is coming. We'll catch you soon, guys.